Right after finishing college, he worked at India's two most fastest growing companies.
I was actually about to do engineering, but to be honest, my 12th grade scores weren't great. They're really bad.
You work at Microsoft right now, right? What's the most fun thing that you do that people might not know?
This product design has got a name where people think it's easy money. It's a well-paying job for not doing something that hard.
Technical skills in UX pretty easy to grasp. It's like the soft skills that matter. So what would those soft skills be?
Yeah, so in school, I would say I was a bit introverted itself. Maybe I liked my own space.
With everyone or with girls?
With everyone, man.
Kind of salary expectation for a person at entering Zomato maybe and at Meesho, at Microsoft at your level right now? So, hi Rahul. I will give you a quick intro to everyone about you, so people know who you are. So Rahul is a product designer currently crafting search experiences for Microsoft Teams. He studied interaction design at PES University, which is also the college that I went to. So there's a personal relation over there as well. But I never knew him in college. And he right after finishing college, he worked at India's two most fastest growing companies. First at Zomato and then at Meesho. He is also one of the rare designers that I know who has spoken at Figma Config, where he spoke about designing for the new internet users. He has run multiple design workshops, which has raised thousands of rupees for those in need, especially during COVID, I assume. And on a personal note, he also cares way too much about Barcelona, and he games during his free time and is on his own fitness journey right now. So today we'll be speaking about working at startups versus MNCs, how design school helps you in your career, how to stand out as a designer in today's world, and some juicy salary talks at startups and Microsoft. With that introduction out of the way, I'm super grateful to be speaking to you here, Rahul. Thank you
Hey
for
man,
doing this.
thank you so much for having me here. It's great to talk to folks like you who sort of spread stuff about design. So yeah, I'm just really happy to be here, and thank you for the lovely intro, man. Yeah,
Did I miss out on anything?
no, you covered it all. Yep,
I actually, so I want to start with this thing, okay? So you were, let's take it back to your 12th grade.
yep,
You hadn't scored that grade of a marks,
yep,
and you were seeing if you want to become one of the engineers,
yep,
gazillion engineers in India.
yep.
But your dad came to you and told you about this design exam, is it?
Yeah. So that's what people find really weird. That my dad pushed me sort of. My dad found this career for me, which I didn't know even existed. So that's people say that's a first, but yeah, man, I was actually about to
Exactly.
do engineering. But to be honest, my 12th grade scores weren't great. They're really bad.
Hmm.
I was really interested in science in the 10th grade, because of what we learned. I felt like it was practical. But then, as soon as I think in India, it's like when as soon as you jump to 11th grade, it's a totally different picture. It's not more about logic anymore. It's just about maybe learning so
Mugging
many
up.
formulas and stuff like that. So yeah, I didn't do well. I didn't. I wouldn't say I didn't even maybe put the effort maybe which is required. But
Hmm.
then yeah, my dad knew इसका मतलब इसका कुछ होगा नहीं तो uh, I think he was probably on the outlook for other professions, I guess.
Hmm.
But he did see the ad for Seed in the
Hmm.
newspaper, and then he said, you know, you. I, as a kid, I would say I had a creative side to
Hmm.
myself. Like I would win drawing, painting competitions. I loved working, modeling with clay.
Hmm.
Craft,
Oh.
best out of waste. I used to win those kind of things at school, which I think didn't matter, right?
Hmm.
But then, yeah, so he told me about the exam, and I just did a quick Google search, and I was like, you know what, this is nice. This is something I could do. And I unfortunately I was probably a bit too late to prepare for the exam or
I
give
think
it.
1 week before the exam or something.
Yeah, it was like a bit too late, so I didn't get that good of a score, I guess. But
Hmm.
at least I knew that I if this is something I could study, I'd rather study this than something I don't want to study for the next
Hmm.
few
Hmm.
years. And yeah,
Hmm.
it worked out, man. I did go to design school, although I would say it was the first ever. I was in the first ever batch for PES where we both come from. It was a bit of a risk.
I I didn't even know there was a design school in our
Exactly.
college.
Exactly. Right? But yeah, it was a bit of a risk, but I just told myself, I'd rather study what I want to than uh, do something which I don't want and then figure out, right? Why do I want to waste
Hmm.
time? So yeah,
Hmm.
it I think ended up well, I guess. Hopefully.
Got it. And when I can't think about preparing for an exam just 1 week before, I think that's As of you even pulled it off. Also, you don't have to be that one more engineer turned designer, because I realized this 4 years or even 5 years later than like
Mhm.
you,
Yeah.
because I didn't know that design was possible as a career at all
Mhm.
until, let's say, I was in my fourth year, like in India at least.
Right.
It's only when I started working and I had like a broader people of broader network who I
Right.
could know from.
Yeah.
It's only then I actually got to know.
Right.
But instead of going like full serious into serious topics right now, I just want to
Yeah.
ask, like, you work at Microsoft right now, right?
Yeah.
What's like the most like fun thing that you do that like people might not know of? Like, how do you guys chill at like Microsoft?
I mean, like, I think it's sort of made by similar to very other companies. I think we go out for a coffee.
Hmm.
Like, not gonna like the food is pretty good at Microsoft, so we all have lunch together. And yeah, it's just about spending time with each other, I guess. Just trying to go out and have fun and not just work all the time.
Hmm.
But I think work is also a lot of fun at Microsoft,
Hmm.
like especially with the stuff we're doing with AI, stuff like that. It's very exciting to be in a space like when generally people think about corporate, it's like a slow environment. But at least where
Hmm.
I work, it's not like that. Like there's a lot of heavy push in
Hmm.
what we're doing, and we even work if as fast, but even faster than startups with the stuff we want to build and ship. So I
Hmm.
enjoy both work and even like the people at Microsoft. I feel like they are one of the best people I've ever worked with, where I
Hmm.
get to learn. And there's so
Hmm.
much knowledge sharing which happens, which always intrigues me, leaves me curious to learn more. So yeah,
Got it.
that's how it's going right now.
Are all these stuff that you spoke about, the coffee, the food, and all, as perks free?
Yeah, yeah, the books.
Damn!
Yeah,
I think that's like the best part about working in all these huge MNCs, right?
yeah, there are some books to it.
Got it. And are you on the remote side of things, or like do you enjoy working from office?
Uh, I like working from office. I know there's a huge this thing they flap on whether should you should work from office or whether you should
Office.
work remote. I mean, you can do what feels good to you, right? I think
Good
for
to
me, going to office gives me sort of routine. Like I like
you.
to wake up early in the morning, get stuff
Hmm.
done there,
Hmm.
work, and I
Hmm.
like to meet people.
Hmm.
I like to interact with people. That's where I feel like I learn a lot, right? I go for a coffee with someone. They
Hmm.
always have maybe a different story to share, or I have something to share with them. Whereas in
Hmm.
remote, I feel like I am working a lot more probably, but it's just like I am just stuck in calls. It's very tiring. So maybe
Hmm.
I like going to office most of the
Hmm.
days. And yeah, that's what I like.
I mean, also in first 5 minutes of the calls, it's almost like, can you hear me? Am I
Yeah.
audible? Anyway, and all
Let
those sort
me
of stuff
share
itself.
my
Let me share
screen.
my screen. The best thing about working in office is that like you're in a canteen or something, and there's someone speaking to you who may be like maybe even the founder or someone else, and you can just like
Right.
speak to them just
Yep.
because you're there.
Yep.
So yeah, I actually missed out on that right now. I'm freelancing, so it's
Right.
completely remote, but I enjoy that.
Yep.
Now, like, let's go back to your college days,
Yep.
and you just spoke about collaboration and stuff, right?
Yep.
Is this something that you honed your skill during your design college as a design school? Because I assume, see, one, I know that in design schools there's no like exams and there's just
Yep.
assignments and like projects.
Yep.
So is this something you like developed during your design school, and like what are the things that you think that like you gained out of like your design school? Like what made you the Rahul you are today, if, like that went
Yeah.
to a design school?
Yeah. So I think design school helps for a couple of reasons. One is it's a structured way of learning. I mean,
Learning.
you don't have to put that effort. There's
Hmm.
already a curriculum in place which you study, and there are professors who
Hmm.
sort of teach you this, right?
Hmm.
Now, what I learned from design school is I think in design school they start from the very basics, right? Like
Hmm.
when we're studying interaction design or user experience design, we sort of start with mobile apps, mobile
Hmm.
phones. But
Hmm.
in design school, is like they start from the very scratch of what is design, like what is design
Hmm.
in general, like
Hmm.
not
Hmm. Hmm.
only in terms of screens or apps, or colors
Hmm.
or sizes,
Hmm.
what does design mean and feel, right? So we work with a lot of clay,
Hmm.
thermocol, try to
Hmm.
make some different shapes or learn about different design principles, even
Hmm.
design history, right? We study
Hmm.
how was design formed, what are the great schools, who are the famous
Hmm.
people who talked about design and stuff like that, right? We study a
Hmm.
little bit about architecture. So it's a whole lot of, I would say, a good foundation which you build your base on, and
Hmm.
then you move into your specialization.
Hmm.
Now, when
What is your specialization?
so my specialization was interaction design. So in
Okay.
interaction design, you have user experience, user interface design, you
Hmm.
have AR, VR, stuff like that.
Hmm.
You have game design and stuff like
Hmm.
that, right? So that's a broader spectrum of interaction design. So
Got it.
yeah, and design school is like, yeah, you do have a professor. It's like, I think, feel like if it's for any subject to study, you have a professor. They will
Hmm.
come and teach you theory, right?
Hmm.
They will
Hmm.
give you
Hmm.
the basics. And in design school, it's also like you're a lot working a lot hands on. Like the teacher will
Hmm.
teach for 20 minutes. If it's a 2 hour class, they'll probably
Hmm.
teach for 20 minutes, and the next 1 hour 40 minutes is hands on creating stuff, right? And you get feedback. But it's always about going home and
Hmm.
trying to reflect more and trying to see what you could have done better. See, even for the
Hmm.
tools, they'll probably give you a run through. You can watch a YouTube video, but then
Hmm.
unless you use it and
Hmm.
practically use it, and that's only when you'll understand. That's what helped me. So that's what I
Hmm.
try to do, to be honest. And yeah, they can't teach you everything. So
Hmm.
you will need
True.
to learn more than what is required on your own.
I I assume a lot of late nights working with like friends in college doing
Oh, dude,
projects.
design school is like really bad. Like my so
PS in particular or like design school in
I've
general?
heard design school, maybe PS as well, but design school is like, okay, people think it's easy, right? It's not that. It's a lot of hard work.
Hmm.
It's not. I would say,
And continuous hard work, I assume.
yeah, it's always
Hmm.
because you don't have exams, right? So you're based
Hmm.
on
Hmm.
each assignment which
Hmm.
you submit, and
Hmm.
so what you need to do is, for example, in the first year of my college, okay, it might sound like a very silly assignment, but to
Hmm.
ensure your hand and eye are coordinated, so you can actually be creative and actually draw what you want to. We
Hmm.
had an assignment to just draw straight lines without a ruler, like 40 pages.
Oh,
And it's, trust me, it's so hard. Okay?
hard.
Then I'm drawing lines, and then my engineering like roommate next to me in my hostel is like, "What the fuck are you doing?" Right? So yeah, I guess it's a lot of hard work, but I guess that vigorous hard work you only realize, say, when you do that, right? When you
Do
do
that.
that
Hmm. Hmm. Hmm.
effort, and then next time when you're drawing something,
Hmm.
it's always like, hey, I want this line to be this way. But
Wait.
when
Hmm.
you were drawing before, you would not have that control because you're maybe your coordination also, but you build your coordination, right? So
Hmm.
stuff like that, man. It's really hard. So it's generally like sleepless nights
Hmm.
most of the time and stuff like that.
Hmm.
Not discouraging people or scaring people. It's not like this all the time. It is fun. Like I didn't mind it. Like even after, if it was 2 a.m., I was tired, but I was like, you know what? At least I'm not doing something I don't
I'm
like. Yeah. So
yeah, and I'm learning something as well.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
Got it. As humans, I think we always need something to work on, and it just needs to be like meaningful enough for us to do it.
yeah,
But
yeah.
otherwise, it's just like chaos in ourselves. Uh, I mean, you told me that you draw perfect lines, right? Like, I'm just like curious. Can you draw like a perfect circle without like
We had the
leaving anything
circle thing too.
else?
We had the
Because
circle
that,
thing.
I've heard that a lot.
We had the circle thing too. So I've lost touch, man. To be honest, like
I was going to ask you that because as an engineer,
yeah,
I don't remember anything I studied from college,
yeah, yeah,
even though I did a lot of hands-on work, but I don't remember. So, do you like? Does
yeah.
that
I do
yours?
remember a lot of things we studied or learned, like
Hmm,
principles and the stuff things we did. I've just
hmm,
been out of touch and sort of my creator side of just making stuff I like. That's something I
hmm,
need to work on. I actually love it, but haven't got the time to prioritize it as of now. But yeah, that's something I feel sticks with you, because in design school, like I said, it's mostly hands-on stuff, right? So when you're learning,
hmm,
you're also creating, and that's
hmm,
when you
hmm.
generally tend to remember. At least what I tend to remember if I do some project around it or things like that. So yeah, that
Got it.
is.
And I remember you telling once that in like Britain and stuff, people actually, I mean, in schools they teach you design. So,
Yeah.
like, do you think that that needs to happen in India as well? Like, I know now, like, coding is a big thing in like sixth or seventh grade onwards. So, do you see that being needed in like design as well?
Yeah, I think I don't know. I'm not sure. If maybe you can fact check this, but I read that some CBSE schools have also started taking design as an elective right from
Oh, okay,
school.
nice.
That's what I've read. I'm not sure if like that's actually happening, but I that's what I read, which is actually cool, right? So actually, it helps people discover a field as well. Like right
Field,
now in
yeah, yeah.
India, probably there's only 3 4 routes people generally take. It also helps people discover a field and
And I think this is like design in general, not like because both of us
yeah,
product designers, like the
yeah.
audience might be for product design over here, but like it's actually design in general. I feel because I'll like connect this to the next thing that I was wondering about is that I remember you also telling like in one of your previous interviews that like you this was in prior to 20 COVID, I think in 2020, where you told like there's only like 5,000 graduates out of a design school at that point.
Yep.
And they're almost like by 2020, you expected like people expected that like 65,000 jobs will be there like for
Yep.
designers and stuff, right?
Yep.
So there's like that at that point, this was prior to COVID, it
Yep.
felt like there was a gap between the demand and supply.
Yep.
But now I feel online, and I've seen this on like
Yeah.
across multiple social media platforms, that like it seems that there is more noise now and there's more supply than there is demand.
Yeah. Yeah.
So what do you think? And this isn't particular to UX, I feel, but
Yeah.
like in broader design thing, I don't think it's true. But like in UX, it might be true. So what
Yeah.
do you think?
Yeah, I feel like pre-coding, I felt this. Like a lot of my most of my friends did it as well. But I feel like what's happened is product design has got a name where people think it's easy money as well,
Easy, exactly, exactly.
right?
I think it's the
So
money that's the
yeah, so
issue.
like I got into this field not knowing how much I will make, right? Because I
Make,
didn't know
yeah.
much about it.
Hmm.
But I feel like a lot of people think that it's a well-paying job for
Hmm.
not doing something that hard. I guess that's what
Hmm.
people think.
Hmm.
But
Let
yeah,
them get into the field.
yeah, yeah. But yeah, coming to your first point, I think what I read was design thinking is what schools will plan to add. So I think that's
Ah,
good. So I think
good. Yeah,
generally in problem solving as a human being, or maybe
exactly.
what are the different methods or ways to solve a problem. I think that's what students should learn, not only maybe UX, uh,
Hmm.
but
I
yeah,
think the main thing that people should learn, at least when you're kids, is that there's no one approach to a solution.
yeah,
Like you just need to brainstorm different solutions and then come to one solution. I think that's something
yeah,
that we don't really know when you're in school at all.
yeah,
But if, let's say, even in this crowded market, if people actually want to stand out,
yeah,
how would you, from your experience, like go about it? Because I know that you are big on like having a resume, having a portfolio, and like sending a cover letters if possible, so
yeah,
you can personalize it.
yeah,
I'll actually link your case study down below, which is like
sure,
absolutely brilliant. But if you can speak more about your case study, like what is so different about it,
yeah.
and like how should people approach the abundance that is there right now in the market?
Yeah. So I think it just depends on person and their situation as well.
Hmm.
Like if you have the time, I would say make the portfolio about you, right? It should scream you. Something
Hmm.
maybe which I also haven't done. Like
Hmm.
if you can take the time to personalize it and craft it to show
Hmm.
what you bring to the table, I think
Hmm.
there's nothing like being yourself and showing.
Hmm.
Because a lot of companies are also not looking maybe for a good designer, but if they fit well into the team, right?
Hmm.
Maybe somebody has strong visual sense, right? Maybe
Hmm.
that's
Hmm.
what's needed
Hmm.
in their company. Maybe somebody is more stronger and I would say research, right?
Hmm.
So it
Hmm. Hmm.
depends on you and the company also which looks out for you. But yeah, try to sort of say if you want to land a good product job, I think you should be able to do most things other people want. I think it's in every other field.
Hmm.
Right,
True.
right. If you're good with synthesizing research insights by yourself,
Hmm.
able to come up with good solutions which work,
Hmm.
able to understand the impact of your design on say business, um, and also take some time to allow so whatever ideas you get you should be able to express themselves, and to express
Express
themselves
themselves.
you need to know maybe after effects or different ways
Hmm.
for you to fully show your idea, right? Sometimes you're
Idea.
like you're limited because you don't know how to show
Hmm.
it. So I think that
Hmm.
you just need to sort of um, not be the best at everything but be able to express your ideas.
Hmm.
I guess a lot of case studies right now I feel are very templatized with the same, I would say, process. I feel
Yeah.
like yes, I would say a lot of things I don't see in a couple of portfolios is the craft of storytelling. Like
Hmm.
how do you tell a
Story.
story to someone? It's all about telling a story, right? And
Exactly.
how you made a difference in that story. Like you're part of that Bollywood movie where you're the hero.
Hmm.
Yeah, you show that there's a problem and what did you do to overcome that problem.
Hmm.
So yeah, that's how I like to think about it.
And if you can just speak about what you did to make your case study different, because that is actually pretty interesting, especially
Yeah,
considering when it was made.
yeah. So I think one of the case studies I had put out or people refer to is the Zomato case study. So I had
Hmm.
worked at Zomato right during COVID, where business was little to zero. Like there were no
Hmm.
orders coming in, the company was
Hmm.
not making any revenue. I
Hmm.
was lucky to be part of that team, which helped create experiences to allow
Hmm.
people to trust Zomato to deliver food to their home safely and
Homes
securely.
safely. Yeah. Hmm.
So I tried to express the problem first to show
Hmm.
that, what the time was, what time you were in, the
Hmm.
sensitivities around food. I think just a very bad flashback we might have 4 years ago. We were not stepping outside our homes. We did
Homes.
not trust even going to the
Hmm.
supermarket, right? We would leave
Exactly.
it outside. So that's what the
Yeah.
type of sensitivity would happen, right? And before COVID, we used to order food from anywhere, right? This is a chat or momo guy on the road, everything. And that's true, right? We in India
Hmm.
love street food, but during COVID, we were like, we would only order from highly sanitized places
Yes,
when we
places.
got
Yeah. Yeah.
food, right? So, one of the things we did is try to communicate or even encourage restaurants who were
Hmm.
trying to follow all safety measures. We boosted them up, gave them different
Hmm.
topics. So it was a whole journey on how we thought of it, how we did stuff on the ground. So trying to bring the story of, hey, it was a really bad time. People were really scared, but here's how we studied users, what their behaviors were, what
Hmm.
even the UN was saying about food guidelines, right?
Hmm.
Then try to ensure that how can we sort of tell users, how can we first follow safety measures to ensure everything is safe, and how can
Hmm.
we communicate that to people, right?
Across.
And yeah, it's also sort of an emotional thing for me because I was working in a company which sort of had frontline workers trying to
Hmm. Yeah.
help people out because not everybody maybe has family or people who can cook or get groceries on their own, right? So I also wanted to pay respect to the Zomato delivery riders.
Hmm.
So we did a cool thing where I think you guys might have seen the little guy flying on the map with the superhero cape.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And that's something which I felt I wanted to do with my PM as well.
Hmm.
So yeah, that sort of blew up on Twitter.
Twitter.
A lot of celebrities like Ravina Tandon was tweeting about it and stuff like that, which felt nice to be honest,
Nice.
right? Because it came from a good place, and a lot of people are appreciating it. And
Hmm.
yeah, we did a lot to even boost rider tipping on the platform because riders are also not earning enough money, right?
Hmm.
So just showing even that story arc, right? With this main story, there's so many different story arcs, different stakeholders, right? The
Hmm.
restaurants who are dependent, the riders, right? How do you help everyone sort of in this journey? And that's what I feel like I try to do and try to communicate that story. Yeah.
Got it. And I think this is something that I actually think about a lot. Like I feel like when you're working at a startup, even if it's like a bigger startup like Zomato, you
Yeah.
still get to play like a pivotal role in shaping the
Yeah.
products that you're building.
Mhm.
But right now you're working at Microsoft,
Yeah.
and usually the stories I know I've heard, and I myself
Yes.
worked at EY prior to this, you
Uh-huh.
kind of get like feel like you're lost in the system of sorts.
Right.
So how do you think that, and how is like the work culture at Microsoft right now?
Right. So I would say maybe because there are obviously more people,
Hmm.
there is some sort of I would say you are not a small fish in a big sea. I mean, it
What?
depends on
Hmm.
maybe where you're working, but
Hmm. Hmm.
if as long as you have interesting work and work which is urgent, I feel
Hmm.
like it feels like a startup to me as well. Like I still have a lot of responsibility and
Hmm.
autonomy
Hmm.
to handle my
Hmm.
own decisions. It's just that yeah,
Hmm.
there are obviously things in a corporate which are not in a startup. Like in a startup, I would just review it with maybe my PM, my manager, and
Hmm.
then directly with the CEO. Right here, there are a lot of levels
Hmm.
which you
Hmm.
need to review with, and it goes through a very vigorous review cycle. So
Got
yeah,
it.
these are the things which stand out. But in terms of responsibility, yeah, you do get say not the entire product. Like in
Hmm.
Zomato, I had the freedom to
Hmm.
experiment with the entire product, but here you have your own niche category which you work on.
Hmm.
And you are the owner for that, so you need to ensure, and sometimes it's very complex, so it
Got it.
requires that one person. So yeah, it's a bit different, I would say, in startup and corporate.
Got it. And I think, especially at the scale that Microsoft works at, collaboration becomes a very important point. And I think I've
Yep.
heard, especially in Microsoft itself, like around like 50 to 70% of your time goes in like speaking to stakeholders, especially at higher levels and stuff.
Yep.
And I remember you telling at one point that you were a sort of an introvert kid,
Yep.
and now you have to deal with a lot of people. So how did you develop that skill set?
Yeah, so in school I would say I was a bit introverted itself. Maybe I liked my own space.
With
uh,
everyone or with like girls?
with everyone, man. With girls as well. But yeah, then I don't know. In 10th, I was like, uh, it's not it's me who has to talk and sort of make
Hmm,
friends, and that's where I sort of learned. And then
hmm,
design school helped me this way. Like we were forced to present our projects because it's not just a submission, right? You have to present it
hmm,
in front of the entire class, to the professors, and I just got used to talking, man, and I love talking now.
hmm, hmm,
So yeah, I guess communication is very important in design, because even if you have a great idea and not able to communicate it to the other person, like there
hmm,
are different ways to communicate with different people, you know,
hmm.
to ensure
That's
that they
actually a
understand.
key.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so you need to judge and you need to base your tone and the way you speak and what you speak to other people. I think that also helps.
But was it like through sheer practice that you developed this skill? Or like if you now, let's say there's a junior in Microsoft under you, working under you or with
Yeah.
you, if you had to tell him like you need to do XYZ to improve this, what would that XYZ be?
Sorry, I didn't get your question.
So basically, like if let's say you have a junior in your office right now
Yeah.
who is not very good at like speaking at communication stuff.
Yeah. Yeah.
So if you had to help him out, what would you
Got it.
tell him to do? Because I
Yeah.
would, for example, I'll just give you an example from my side. If I had to tell
Right.
someone junior to me to help him in his communications, I would say like write your thoughts more. You'll be
Right.
more coherent, and
Right.
then you can voice out your opinion
Yeah.
easily.
Yeah.
So along those lines, if you can give
Yeah.
some
Something which
advice.
I also like to do, I like to write my
Hmm,
script,
hmm,
or I like to be like really well prepared.
hmm,
If it's an important presentation, I should know what I'm speaking on each slide, right?
hmm,
And
hmm,
that really
hmm,
helps because that gives me confidence. Hey, I just know what I have to speak. I just need
hmm,
to speak it, right? It's
hmm.
not that hard.
Yeah.
And yeah, it's just a practice, man. The more you do it, the more you
Hmm.
share your work with other people, the more you get used to it. Like before I think when I joined Zomato, before every call I was like, oh, I have to present, right? That happens, right? And that still happens sometimes now
Yeah.
in some big meetings, but
Yeah.
uh, yeah, you get used to it. You don't mind it anymore.
Got it. Got it.
Yeah.
But at Microsoft, do you get to like speak to like the top most person in India, abroad, and stuff,
Yeah,
or
yeah,
how does
sure,
it
sure.
work?
Sure, sure. You do. You definitely do. You get a lot of opportunity to present your work to some very high leadership at
Hmm.
Microsoft.
Hmm.
So the opportunity is always there. If you're doing
Hmm.
great work, the people will want to see it. So that's definitely there. It's been seen like by a lot of people, especially at
Hmm.
the top side. So it's a good place to be at right now.
Got it. And speaking about great people, one person that comes to my mind a lot, especially when I'm on Twitter or LinkedIn, is Vijay Verma. And you've
Okay.
worked with him, if I'm
Yeah.
not wrong.
Yeah. Yeah.
How was that experience, like
Yeah.
having someone at that caliber work alongside you?
Yeah, Vijay is great. I think I was really lucky. I got to spend some time with him at Zomato. So he is the one who sort of built the entire sushi design system for
Yeah.
Zomato at the time. So I did get to
So she's
learn.
like Zomato's design system, right?
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Hmm.
So he's a very visually sound person. Like he knows what works, what doesn't. It was
Hmm.
really nice to just share time with him, get his feedback on a lot of work I did there. Yeah, it was really very good.
And is there something that you learned from working with him? And one more thing I just want to like bring along with this is that
Mhm.
uh, I I feel like when you're working in such a big team with a lot of people who have like different skill set and are great at those skill set,
Yep,
you kind of get, especially when you're like at a junior level
yep,
and at senior levels may also, is that you have this kind of imposter syndromes when you're
yep,
working in such teams.
yep.
So how did you, I mean, one, what did you learn from Vijay sir? And like the other thing is like, how do you deal with such scenarios? Because I felt
Mm.
it when I
Mm.
was working and I was a junior.
Right.
So how did you deal with it?
Yeah, I also had the imposter syndrome. I knew I didn't know anything because I was an intern. So I just asked.
Hmm.
Hey, sir, how did you do this?
Twice.
Yeah, I just
Hmm.
asked. So Rajesh, Vijay, they're really good at
Hmm.
Lottie animations, and
Hmm.
I didn't know anything about After Effects, but I just told him one day, like, teach me, right? And he
Hmm.
taught
Hmm.
me, and it was better than any YouTube tutorial ever, right? He taught
Yeah,
me in 15 minutes,
that's true. That's true.
right? So
Hmm.
yeah, it was great, man. I just asked. Even if I do that now, if I don't understand anything, I just ask. It's okay.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you just need to get your ego level to the ground and then
yeah,
be open and ask a lot of questions. I think
yeah,
that's the main trait that we need to learn as designers as well.
yeah.
Because I remember Alex Hormozy telling once, like you should try to ask less of how to do this and
Yep.
ask whom to do it with, like like whom to learn it from basically.
Yep.
So if you can get them to sit with you and make them teach you stuff, that's
Yep.
like the fastest way to learn anything, I feel.
Yep. Yep.
So that's something as
Exactly.
well. But apart from that, is there anything to do that you would say which helps with like people with having imposter syndrome with their
Hmm.
skill set and stuff?
Yeah, I feel like there's only two ways to go about it. Either you need to sort of look for the answers and ask them. If
Hmm.
not, look it up online. Like I think we have a lot of resources now. You don't have
Hmm.
to necessarily talk to people. You can learn it on your own. Um,
But I feel that is actually the cause because there's so much good stuff online,
yep.
and you feel like you won't be able to do this. Like what people often forget to do, I think, is that, for example, Vijay sir, who has like let's say 20 years of experience, you're
Mhm.
comparing yourself to him. So I
Yep.
think that's where a lot of issues
Oh
also
yeah,
come.
yeah, for sure. And I think you just need to you should know that. Like I feel like you don't have to know everything right now, right?
Yeah, yeah.
You maybe like when I that's what I felt when I was an intern at Zomato. I was like, hey, I just joined. I don't know
Hmm.
anything.
Hmm.
Like I'm just here to learn. That's
Hmm.
what my mindset was. And I feel like it's okay not if you are the best in a room, then you should not be in that room, right?
In that room,
Yeah,
yeah.
there be a
True.
lot
Very,
of people
very
say
true.
that. So that's what I also think. Like, as long as I'm learning and growing, I'm happy to be at that place because I know I'm improving myself.
Hmm.
Yeah.
Got it. And you spoke about like we spoke about a lot of skill set, right? I think
Hmm.
what one thing you learn, especially, I mean, after the internship stage, is that technical skills in UX in particular is like pretty easy to grasp.
Hmm.
It's like the
Yep.
soft skills that matter. So, what
Yes.
would those soft skills be like if you have to
Yeah.
name it?
Yeah.
Because people talk about this in general,
Yeah.
but if you had to think, I think the only thing that comes up to my head is like collaboration. But
Hmm.
apart from that, is there anything that comes under soft skills that
Oh
people need to
yeah,
hone?
like storytelling, man. Storytelling is something which I think have sort of really not put too much attention, which I'm putting now. Like especially
Hmm.
Microsoft storytelling, communication with different stakeholders. I think these two soft skills are really important. It's just the way you deal with people as well, right? It's like
Hmm.
you need to
Hmm.
be sort of ensure that you make the other person comfortable as well to share their ideas, right? Like you said, collaboration.
If you can give an example,
Yeah.
like
So,
let's
for
say,
example, maybe when I'm handing off stuff right to my
hmm.
developer, maybe he says, "Hey, I can't do this," and then you just try to tell him like, "Why?" Right? That's a very common thing which we hear.
Common, very, very
Yeah.
common.
You should also understand they also have problems, right?
Problems, yeah,
They
yeah.
also have things they can't do. So you need to ask them, hey, what is the problem? Is there anything I can help in? Can we come to a middle
Hmm.
ground? And
Hmm.
it's just about that compromise, right? When two people are ready to compromise and also work together for a solution.
Hmm.
So I can
Hmm.
understand the technical constraints, he can understand what I'm trying to build. It's all about that communication and trying to do what is right
Hmm.
for the problem. Yeah, I think
Hmm.
I like to believe like nobody comes from a bad place. Maybe
Hmm.
they just have different opinions, and it's all
Hmm.
about sort of I would say telling them why you feel this is right, and you should also
Hmm.
be open to hear what they have to say. So I think these soft skills are pretty important. I feel.
Got it. And how do you think you have grown as a person who was in like college, then Zomato, then Meesho, and Microsoft? Like, what has at each steps of this
Right,
timeline? How have you changed? Like, what have you like? What
man.
has changed in Rahul?
Man, this is some deep
You can
question.
think about it. You don't have to answer it like
Yeah,
at the
yeah.
very
I,
moment.
I just feel like I feel like I've matured as a designer as well. I feel like
If you can be a little more specific, that would
yeah.
help.
So I feel like I would just try in starting maybe I was at Zomato. I just try to come up with something which works. And I would try to just try to get stuff done, try
Hmm.
to sort of done. But I think I will know how to take a step back now, try to
Hmm.
analyze the problem much better. I feel like I am good at now understanding things which work, which don't, because I've had some time, right?
Hmm.
So yeah, I think you just mature as a. I think any field, the more time you spend, the more
Hmm.
better you get. And I feel like I have gotten better in storytelling and communication. I love telling stories. Like
Hmm.
presentation is something which I'm excited about. I love talking about the
Wait,
problem.
presentation is something you're excited about
Yeah,
talking?
yeah, that's something which excites me because I love crafting different stories. To be honest, and I
Stories.
try to say it in different ways.
Hmm.
But yeah, I think that's how I've sort of designed.
I mean, I'm surprised you told that because usually people whine about when they climb up the ladder, they miss doing the hands-on approach. Usually,
Yeah, yeah,
you are the other side told that you actually look forward to presentation because I think people dread doing presentations.
yeah, yeah.
So that's actually pretty interesting. Apart from that, you can you speak about the different workshops that you had done, like, and what
Yeah.
can people do? Because I don't see a lot of people doing workshops anymore, and you did this noble thing of like actually raising money because of that.
Yeah.
So how was that experience for you?
Yeah, so what I try to do is I just try to help people get started in their career in design.
Hmm.
Like it's also in it for me to help others learn and grow, and I also learn from other people. That's why I
Hmm.
sort of started it because actually it was a good. I think since you're a content creator,
Hmm.
when you
I don't
create
like to call myself that, but yeah.
okay, no, I mean you generally like to post content, right? And when
Yeah,
you
yeah.
create that piece of content, you learn so much, right?
True,
So
absolutely true.
and so when you learn so much, it's like you can share it, and when I shared it, I felt like a lot of people did enjoy, learn something new that day because of me, and
New.
that gave me a sort of a boost, right? Like I never promoted that I'm gonna help them find UX jobs or
Hmm.
even
Hmm.
take a course or
Hmm.
whatever, but it's just like a stepping stone for people, right?
Hmm.
So during COVID, as like I told you, when I was in Zomato, it was like there's so much sad news every day, right? People are looking for oxygen cylinders. Some people needed the money. So I thought Zomato was running a campaign at the time for oxygen cylinders, which I think they have procured. So what I did was I thought maybe I should raise some money. So I set a goal of near 10,000. I was an intern that time, right? So maybe ten
Oh, you
thousand.
did this while being an intern.
Yep, yeah.
Oh,
So
nice, bro.
so yeah, I think at that time I was like, okay, I can maybe steer up some 10,000 rupees I can aim for because I charged what like $500
Hmm.
for like a
Hmm.
2-3 hour workshop.
Hmm.
Um, but yeah, I ended up getting 50K. Like a lot of people joined. I conducted it multiple sessions in a week.
Hmm.
Yeah, it's just so cool. People are just random people were like joining. People who were studying, what would say, medicine joined. They just wanted to learn something new, and they were
New.
actually posting it on their Instagram and stuff. That they learned something. They learned how to create maybe a screen. They learned how
Hmm.
to use
Hmm.
Figma with very
Hmm.
basic stuff. Right. So I
Hmm.
think that sort of gave me a boost, and I was able to help the community in a way. Uh,
How did that feel like? Like at that moment when you raised so much money and you were able to hand it off to like
yeah, it did
the.
feel good that I wish I helped somebody
Hmm.
because I know a lot of people close to me as well were struggling with COVID
Hmm.
and stuff. So yeah, I just felt like yeah, I did something right,
Hmm.
which
Hmm.
which I felt
Hmm.
and not only me, like everybody who joined in contributed. Yeah, it meant a lot to me at the time.
Got it. And if I have to be a little practical here, so the way you do it is you just basically set up some kind of payment form. You get people to, like, let's say on a webinar or something,
Oh,
collect money,
dude,
and then.
it was very basic. Like I made my own, like I had my own portfolio website on Wix. So at that
Huh,
time, I created one page for
huh,
the workshop. I
huh,
had a Google form,
huh.
and you had to just GPay me on my number, and I would verify, and I would.
People are okay with that because a lot of people usually care about security and stuff, I assume.
I know. I mentioned that if there's any problem, I will refund the money. Like I'm not here to like steal and run away, right?
Mm.
So like I don't know. Maybe I was an intern, so that's what I did. Like obviously I could have integrated Razorpay or something, but I don't know.
Too
I
complex.
yeah. At that time, I was
Mm.
like, I'll just do it quickly because I wanted to do it fast as well. I didn't want to delay it any longer.
Hmm.
So, yeah.
Got it. And this is other thing that you spoke about in one of the course was like this thing called biomimicry, right?
Mhm.
And I see this a lot in different kind of art, especially if since you're in design school, you must have applied this a lot.
Yeah.
But like when it comes to UX, I actually can't think a lot about this.
Mhm.
So is there something that you can think of that actually you've seen it being implemented like biomimicry wise? So and if you can explain a biomimicry a little bit, that will also
So
be good.
by biomimicry, you mean like things which you take from natural life and you
Yeah.
try to put into this design, right?
Yeah.
So I feel like a lot of things we do in biomimicry are like sometimes something a little literal. Like you see a cheetah print, you see a lot of clothes and
Clothes.
stuff
Yeah.
from biomimicry, right?
Hmm.
Aeroplanes, birds
Hmm.
have wings, right? Stuff like
Yeah.
that. So we try to stake stuff into design. For example, I wouldn't say this is natural, but maybe a lift, right?
Hmm.
How do you
Hmm.
show which floor you're going to, right? Maybe there's
Hmm.
like a the numbers keep ticking up, right? Same way
Hmm.
in
Hmm.
UX, right? Which step are you on? Just to show the
Hmm.
person, right? Which floor have
Hmm.
you reached? Things like
Hmm.
that. So
Hmm.
not able to think of a UX example, but things like patterns and stuff, right? Which you're able to use and design.
But
A lot
actually,
of
when you told me that, I kind of realized that a lot of things we do in UX, we try to implement the real world aesthetics or real world functionalities itself, but it's not
yep,
that direct of a implementation like
yep,
in other design fields, I would say.
yep. That's for sure. I think even gestures, right? When we think about gestures,
Yeah,
when we want
yeah,
to see. things closer to each other, we would probably zoom in, zoom out, right? And that natural extension of, hey, there is something there. I just want to see it, make it bigger,
Yeah,
right?
bigger.
And you, this just, I think I was reading this in the Johnny Ive book on how they came up with this gesture. It's a very good story, right?
Yeah,
So like it's crazy, like how natural this feels, right? Hey, I
yeah,
want to see
exactly.
something. What's down there? Like, how do I see it, right? So I think it's just natural human interaction which you need to observe.
I mean, good that you brought up Johnny Ive because the one natural gesture that I hate is actually the trackpad because I come from being a long time Windows
But is
user,
it?
and then you come to the natural, you come to the using trackpad is the other way. Like a lot of things
Oh,
are
you
the
can
other
change
way.
that. I've changed it,
You can, but like
but
it's actually a
it's a setting you need to do.
yeah, and the mouse won't work if you change it. Like there's like a little bit of complications here and there.
Right,
Okay, so
right,
kind of hate that, but
right.
also the fact that you really seem to be like people who are like have the name Johnny because I know one you spoke about Johnny Ive, you look up to him. I think a lot of designers look up to him. Then there's the other person
Yeah.
I think you look up to a lot called Johnny Vivo. So if you can
Mm.
speak about who that person is and like
Yeah.
how if also you can mention if there's any other personalities or people that you look up to and like how they have influenced you.
Yeah. So Johnny Vino, I before college, he was like this one designer who was sort of always trending on Instagram, Twitter,
Hmm.
LinkedIn.
Hmm.
I think he was really cool, man. He tried to actually humanize design. If you've seen his work, he always tries to humanize design, right? For
Design. I think the main
example,
thing he did was like he made an interaction for a day, like for a year or two, right? That's how he became very
yeah.
famous.
He did that challenge as well.
Hmm. Hmm.
So really crazy stuff. Like for example, when you're adding your weight on an app, right? He actually
Hmm.
added the weighing scale somehow, which you could
Hmm.
move. It just
Hmm.
felt so nice, right? It just felt so
Nice, yeah.
different, so natural. So I really liked his work, and I also shared my work with him. So he did.
This was the AR/VR project, I assume.
Sorry.
This was the AR/VR project
Yes,
case
yes,
study
yeah,
that you made. Hmm.
yeah.
Hmm.
That as well. I think even I started the interaction day by day. I used to tag him on the story, used to post it, used to share it on his story as well.
Hmm.
But yeah, he's in Apple now, so uh, credit to him. Like he's done a lot of amazing work for a lot of companies right now. Yeah,
Hmm.
I was a truly literal fanboy of his interactions.
Got it. And what do you think I mean, what have you learned from, like, let's say, Johnny Ive? Because I remember you speaking about
Yeah,
like one book that really influenced you.
yeah.
So, is there anything that you can share that you learned from him or like his way
I
of
feel like
thinking?
he like the way he pushed boundaries of design, and he ensured that like Apple is a design centric company, right? So
Company, yeah.
I think he made that happen. He sort of pushed the boundaries in terms of his bold decisions with design.
Think
With the
differently.
with this the iPhone we saw
Hmm.
stuff like that. So a really good book about his life as well. Like he has gone through a lot as well. So
Hmm.
really good book. I would just recommend. I won't spoil anything much.
Hmm.
But yeah, it's the thing about British people. I think they're always good at design because I feel like they have it in school as well.
Hmm.
And
Hmm.
I was just looking at a lot of videos where Johnny I from his childhood used to watch this design show. Like we had Art Attack and stuff like that, right? So they have
Oh,
similar,
Rob.
yeah, Rob and stuff like
Rob.
and Matt, right? So they have their own
Yeah.
show, but it's very design centric. So if you just watch that YouTube video, maybe I can send you a link later. So Johnny Ive is called back on that show, which he used to
Hmm.
watch as a kid,
Watch. Hmm.
and he reviews design of little kids, and those little kids had to redesign a backpack, and they're
Back.
so
Hmm.
creative. Like third grade kids, they're like, I'm gonna add this extra pouch so I can fit in my water bottle. And
Hmm.
these are
Hmm.
things
Hmm.
maybe backpack creators don't know, right? They have specific needs, right? So
Hmm.
it's so crazy. Like he went back to the show. So that's something I guess you guys can check out. Like in other countries, maybe a lot of people they learn design from a very young age. I think
Young
I'm not
age.
sure. Yeah,
I mean, please do share. Like, I'll link it down in the description. People can watch. But it's
yeah,
actually pretty. It's like a coincidence because today morning itself, I put a post on LinkedIn telling like everyone's creative until they grow up. Because when you grow
yeah,
up, all these restrictions come into your mind,
yeah.
so you don't have that naivety to like explore different things, like
Yeah.
go push the boundaries, like you told.
Yeah, yeah.
Got it. And when you speak about like people like at that level, right? And when I actually think about UX designers now, I feel like it's hard to visualize like a long-term game, especially with all the AI stuff that's happening.
Hmm.
How do you think about it? Like, what would Rahul be doing 20 years from now?
I don't think about it to be honest.
Hmm.
I like to think, maybe I don't like to think long term. I try to think short term, what goals I can achieve right now, which I
Hmm.
see right now, right?
Hmm.
So
Hmm.
yeah, that's what I try to do.
Hmm.
With the AI stuff, I feel like every time there is new tech, right? This is not
Hmm.
something new which is happening to us. So we try to adapt and we try to change according to the tech which comes in. So yeah, it's only going to make you better. It's not going to make
Better.
you.
The only thing I can trust is that like that human will to always adapt and like push forward.
Yeah, that's what will happen. Yeah, I'm sure there has to be some guardrails in place, right? Stuff with
Hmm.
AI is it's really powerful, it's really great, but with like my favorite Spider-Man quote, with great power comes great responsibility, right? And even as designers, maybe we should think about security, right? Like there's a
Yeah.
lot of bad things which people do with AI, like the voice modulation, um, pornography,
Hmm.
uh, a fake, I would say, rumors or spreading news, right? False news.
Deepfake is like a big
Yep,
issue already,
yeah,
I think.
yeah, yeah. So there are a lot of guardrails which I think people are already working on, and I feel like there will be some checks
Hmm.
which we also need to think about. Yeah,
Got it. And you also spoke about like reaching out to Johnny Vivo and all that, all like big personalities at these big companies. What do
yeah,
you say to them? Like, I feel like people don't actually know. Like, I have heard this peer telling,
yeah,
and I myself tell it across a lot.
yeah.
Cold mail people,
Hmm.
like cold DM, LinkedIn,
Yeah,
Instagram, Twitter, whatever. What do you actually tell? Like, what's your approach
yeah.
usually like?
So my when I wouldn't call it cold email. I don't reach out with a purpose. I just reach out to share my work and just
But isn't that harder in that case? Because usually we have this assumption that people who you want to seek out help
Mhm.
from, like we need to respect their time and like
Yep.
uh, go with an intention of like speaking to them. Like,
Yeah, yeah.
hmm,
So by intention, I mean I don't intend to maybe get a job out of them or
hmm, hmm,
something out of them. I just hey, I've been following for a while. This is the work I really like what you do, and I've tried to
hmm,
do something on my own. If
hmm,
whenever you get the time, just let me know what I can improve on, right? And I
hmm,
feel like people will generally help you then, right? If you feel like because sometimes I get a lot like few LinkedIn messages, right? And it's like it's very like, hey, like I need this from you, so like
hmm,
please. And
hmm,
sometimes it's not even my name. I think they're just copy
hmm.
pasting other people, right? Like, hey, and
I have done that.
yeah, it happens. It definitely happens. But it's
Yeah,
like then the other person won't feel like responding, right?
exactly. Hmm.
Yeah. So uh, yeah, I know it's sort of really hard when you're looking for a job. There are
Especially now.
yeah, there are different circumstances, right? You run out of gas of
Hmm.
trying to learn, right?
Learn.
And I think
Hmm.
people change the situations, but I feel like if you make your own network and try to create that connections, you never know. Maybe later in life
Hmm.
that could help you. Yeah,
Got it. And like coming to like the last part that I want to speak about is like what's like
I
the
hope
salary
this is
expectation
not
that
like
we
the thumbnail.
this might be because that's what people. I mean, in
Okay.
today's world, I was like seeing this a lot. Basically, subscribers are dead, followers are dead.
Uh,
It's totally up to the algorithms to push out your content, and like it needs
got
to
it.
be interesting enough to people for people to watch. But
Yeah.
like, I don't see this from that perspective, right? Like, people
Yeah.
should be aware of these things. It's
Yep.
because otherwise it becomes very hard for like
Yep.
all awareness is good according to me.
Yep.
So just knowing this is actually very common in like let's say the science computer science fields,
Mm-hmm.
not so much in design. So
Yep.
if we can know like what can a salary expectation for a person at like entering Zomato maybe and like at Meesho at like a
Yep.
2 years level and Microsoft at your level right now.
Yep. Yeah. So the thing about salaries, right now, I feel like yes, there are already a lot of stuff about salaries out there, even for design, right? Um, I think from Zeta, I see this. I think they do a yearly salary.
Yeah. Actually, I'm getting a person from Zeta as well. I think by the time your
Yeah.
ones goes out, that
Okay.
video might already
Yeah.
be out.
So there are few things which give you an estimate on the average salary,
Estimate.
right?
Yeah.
Now, salary um, to me is also not only based on the user experience, but is also
Hmm.
on the brand value you bring
Brand
in,
value.
right?
True.
So I can give you a range. So when I was
Hmm.
starting out, I was offered five.
This is a Zomato.
No, I'm not giving you
Then
exact numbers. I'm just
okay.
giving you an
Uh,
example. For
okay.
example, one company would give five. Maybe
Hmm.
this is not the exact number. I'm not
Hmm.
giving the exact number, but one company would give 14. one company would give 16,
Hmm.
right? Now
Hmm.
these are different companies, right? And
Hmm.
what they feel you deserve. Now it's
Hmm.
up to you to whether
Hmm.
choose that or settle for it, right?
Hmm.
If you know you deserve better, if you feel like you bring a lot more to the table, you will ask for it or you will try
Hmm.
to look elsewhere, right? And I feel like um, the brand value you bring in. For
Hmm.
example, we do this in sort of a way, right? In engineering, you come from IIT, you sort of get a higher package because you feel like you've already gone through all that, which
Hmm.
might mean this thing, right? And
Hmm.
as a designer, if you feel you bring a lot to the table, hey, I
Hmm.
can do my own research. I'm
Hmm.
really good at synthesizing my insights. I'm really good at problem solving. I'll even
Hmm.
make with the detail UI, I'll sit with the engineer. I will ensure it's pixel perfect, and I
Hmm.
will ship it. Right,
Hmm.
and my track record shows that I've had my design has helped business as well. Right, so you
Hmm.
know the value you're bringing, and then you get the right to ask for more money. And I feel like that's what people should do. So starting off, you can expect anywhere as low as 4, 5 to up to 20. Right, it's up
Hmm.
to you as a person, your brand value, and the stuff you create, right? And then from there, it depends on the company you change. Like some companies give you 50% hike, some companies give you 40% hike. It also depends on the market we are, right?
Hmm.
Sometimes
Exactly.
it keeps fluctuating. So I
Hmm.
would say when you're starting out, you can expect anywhere from the range I just mentioned. And as
Hmm.
you go, you can expect maybe 50, 70% hike, maybe. And as
Hmm.
you keep going, you can expect that kind of salary levels. But to start with, I think that's the number I can give. And
Hmm.
if you're looking for specific average numbers, I think there's already
Okay, if I can like summarize this, like let's say you have how many of like, experience working like professionally right now?
now it's going to be three, little more than three now.
3 years experience, and like at an MNC level,
Mhm.
what can a person expect at like 3 to 4 years or 3 to 5 years of experience? Like a
So
range.
yeah. So it depends again, right?
I
Uh,
mean, the main thing I've learned from this is like negotiation is a skill because
yeah,
the difference between a 5 to 20 is like huge.
yeah,
So
yeah.
it's a big skill that you have
So
to
I would
learn.
say the salary difference between a startup and MNC is not that different as is your base pay.
Oh,
Like
okay.
you do get
Hmm. Stocks,
some,
I assume.
yeah, and then your
Hmm.
other portion is stocks, which will also bring in a good chunk of money.
Hmm.
So I would
Hmm.
say the base salary almost remains the same. Your
Hmm.
stocks and your extra bonuses and your
Hmm.
perks which you get here and there are definitely more,
Hmm.
right? So that's what I would say for the MNC side as well.
But like if in a range of maybe like a three to
So
four year
like
experience.
yeah, so 3, 4 years experience for startups, I think you can expect anywhere from. Uh, so if you started with 5 or something, it depends where you start your salary also, right? It's different for
Hmm.
different people.
Hmm.
But anywhere from I think in the Zeta form, I'm not sure if it mentioned 15 to 40. I think that's the
40.
range.
I
Depends
think
on
even the same. You have around the same numbers.
yeah,
25 ish to 30 is what you can expect like
yeah,
at that
yeah,
level.
yeah. So it depends again. So
But the issue with the Zeta thing is that it came out during COVID where like everything was like this.
right.
So I'm actually looking forward to a like analysis when the market is actually down because now it's
Hmm.
actually pretty hard because
Yeah.
when I left small case and I was like actually searching for companies, right?
Hmm.
It's actually hard for companies to offer the salaries that they were offering
Yeah.
I mean 2 years before or even 1 year before,
Yeah.
and there was not abundance back then. There's a lot of abundant designers, especially at the starting level, I would say.
Yeah, yeah. It depends on the market as well, right? Markets change,
Hmm.
so you never know. When 2 years later, when you're switching a company, you might get a very good hike because that's what the market is. So it just depends on the market and the conditions as well around you.
Got it. And you spoke about personal brand, right? I
Yeah,
think one of the thing that would have helped you a lot is you speaking at Figma.
yeah,
So how was that experience?
yeah. I mean, that was crazy,
Were
right?
you scared? Were you excited? Were
Oh, I
you
was
like,
scared. I was so scared.
did you sleep the
But
night before?
uh, before my recording, yes, I mean, I did get, but that's the only thing which kept running in my mind. I think
But
yes, when you're small, you're going for a field trip, you're like, oh, I'm so excited. That's what I felt. Really
hmm,
cool. I got to interact with the Figma team, a couple of Figma advocates from there. There's a proper. Although I wish I could have gone to be there in person, like
hmm,
they were ready to do that, but US visa is really hard. As well, it was college season that time, so
hmm,
didn't get any
hmm,
slot, couldn't get to go. But hey, I did it online. It was really fun talking to the Figma team.
hmm.
Every year I used to submit in Conway right from college. Last year I just submitted because I used to get free goodies from them, right? So I love to.
So that was not your first time that you had actually
No,
attempted to speak.
No,
Oh, okay.
I did it
Hmm.
even when I was on Zomato. Actually, my manager pushed me as well um,
Hmm.
to push for config, which made
Hmm.
me realize that hey, I should push. And that's when I just started speaking. Like I got colleges invited me to speak. I genuinely
Hmm.
loved speaking by then, and then I think I got to know how to write uh, in a concise manner what topic I
Hmm.
want to cover to them. And I think hey, I got selected to speak at config.
Got it. And how was it speaking at like our college?
Yeah, it was good. It is good to be back. Like I remember, like I used to be the one sitting at the back, like almost for half asleep. So
I
I
was full
could,
asleep.
yeah, yeah. But I think it was so good. Like I think I went in there just to help.
And it's a different campus now, bro. Like it's totally different
Yeah,
campus right now.
definitely felt different, but a lot of parts of it did feel the same.
Hmm.
But hey, it was
B
actually
block, I
very
assume.
nice. Huh? B
B
block
block, I
only.
assume.
B block.
Yeah.
B block
Hmm.
itself. So yeah, it was actually really good. Like I felt like I wanted to cover what I didn't get when I was sitting there.
Hmm. Hmm.
And like in design school, towards the end, they didn't really explain how to create a portfolio. It is all about
Ah.
design and theory and
Hmm.
subjectivity. But what's a portfolio which actually gets you jobs, right? And that's something we need
Jobs.
to cover. And that's what I covered. I think to my at least what I heard or what I saw, a lot of people were so interested. Like they actually came and spoke to me after the talk, right? Like hey, this is so helpful. Like we have got so many other speakers, but we just end up sleeping. But this was so insightful. How did you do this? How did you do that? And I think they're so smart. Like they're in the second year of design school, and they're thinking about design systems and stuff like that. I didn't know anything,
Anything, yeah, same.
right?
I didn't even know design was possible back then, like as a career. So
Yeah, so they're like second year kids, and they're so good at it. I just felt wow, like I need to sort of step up my game. If not, like what's gonna happen to me as well? But it felt really nice to be called back to the place where you studied.
hmm.
It just felt nice.
I mean, you kind of went from like subtly flexing how good of a speaker you are to telling how good the kids nowadays are actually.
Oh man, there are a lot of actually there are a lot of while I feel as a side which just is doing it for the money, I feel like there's still a lot of people who are genuinely so
Interested in doing
interested
this.
in design.
Yeah,
And there's so many people with such good work. I feel like it's
e-
just good, exciting times for us.
exactly. Is there anything else that you want to share to the world?
No man, I think we covered most of it. So I'm sure you're gonna call so many other people who can share more. But yeah, I had a lot of fun with this chat, man. It feel like we were recording something. It just felt like a good catch up. So yeah, I had a lot of
Same.
fun.
I actually would love to want to do this like in real life,
Yeah, yeah, we
but
should.
the logistics become so hard. So that's why I'm like making sure that I get a substantial number of followers. What I was trying to tell is like I expect like I get a little bit more followers and then I can do this offline because I feel like offline there's just a different vibe like speaking
Yeah,
to
I feel
people.
like yeah, that also might be because I think there when you're sitting next to the other person, it might feel even more
Exactly.
natural. Yeah, you
Yeah.
should do that, man. Should set it up.
But I mean, round two with Rahul is gonna be offline then for
Yeah,
sure.
yeah, for sure. I'm down.
And where would you want people to reach out to you?
Yeah, you can reach out to me on Twitter and Instagram. I'm generally active there. Although
Hmm.
now I should start posting content again. It's been a while, but maybe this is my cue. Yeah, you can reach out to me on Instagram and Twitter. I'm very active there. At Rahul Goradia, you can reach out to me.
I will link all your handles down below,
Sure.
and you
Yeah.
can reach out over there.
Yeah.
Cool. That's pretty much it, Rahul. Bye then.
Awesome, man. Thank you so much. See you.